Welcome to the Daily Exchange. I'm here with Martin, my friend, and we are going to reveal to you when institutions are going to get onto crypto. We've got a whole lot of other news coming at you. We've got some really interesting predictions. Martin's here. He's going to get crazy with me. We brought in the hammer today. If anyone gets out of control, it's on. See you guys soon. All right, welcome back, guys. Now, listen, we've got Martin here, my friend, good friend as well. We met in New York, had a good time around Consensus. Martin, quickly, tell us about yourself. What's the big deal? Why should everyone be listening to you?
Well, I run a classic venture capital fund called KTM Ventures. I studied in computer science, but I'm one of those people from the institutional space who's come into the cryptocurrency space. And, you know, we're kind of the early leaders for this, but we actually think there's a huge tidal wave of institutional money coming through. And there's two basic things that are coming through this. Essentially, cryptocurrencies allow you to do real-time transfer with little or no fees. And we really need this in the world. And it's a whole set of asset classes are going to be tokenized. And the first up is, of course, Bitcoin with digital gold 2.0. And we really think that getting behind and being part of the infrastructure for this is going to make our investors a lot of money. And we're going to see a lot more mainstream institutions come in behind this.
Okay, so Martin, let's explain this as well. Full disclosure, you are an investor in Independent Reserve.
Yes.
A great crypto exchange up in North Sydney. Good friends of mine. I solidly love the exchange. It works really well. There's some really interesting things going on in Independent Reserve right now as well. But tell us, why did you get into an Independent Reserve? Why did you become an investor?
Well, actually, we looked at, with a class of our investors, we looked at all the different cryptocurrency exchanges and operators. So you have open order book exchanges, so Independent Reserve is one of those, and you have coin shops where you just see, hey, the price of Bitcoin's this, I'd like to buy $100 worth. And so we looked at, there's about 15 of them, and we were really impressed with the management team. They've been around for 5 years, and also they were very liquid. They had an institutional grade hardware and quite immune from attacks, cyber attacks. So we thought this was the most safe, secure place for us to go through and invest. And we think that as more and more institutional money comes in, we want it to be invested behind one of the exchange operators to do that.
So you're traditional, you've come out of traditional like VC and you've gone into crypto. It's a big move.
It is.
A big play. I love it. I love it. Okay, now the thing is, you have some theories on institutional versus retail. Now, obviously, guys, I'm going to ask Martin the big question, but there is something really important we need to understand. You've got some views on retail versus institutions.
Yes.
And the different money and how that interacts. Tell us about that.
Well, I actually think that retail money is kind of an unusual thing because usually it comes later. But with cryptocurrency, it came first. And the institutional money hasn't come in into such large sort of waves. So it's a very unusual new asset class where the retail has gone first through it. And for us, like, we just want to understand what we can invest in, and we really understand the institutional market. So we want to get behind when institutions are going to come through there next.
So how do you think? So let's get to it. Martin, tell us, when are institutions coming into crypto? Tell us, guys. Here's the big question. Get your questions in as well, guys. Submit your questions. We're going to be asking them, but Martin's going to reveal to us. When's the pitch, man? You're the man behind the money. You're the Insto guy. Well, when are we coming in? When's it going to happen?
This is happening in the next 12 months, guys.
Right.
You're going to see listed investment companies, ETFs that are solely focused on cryptocurrency. A lot of large pension funds, we call it superannuation funds, have zero exposure in this space, and they can't self-custody. Wow. So they need to invest in another fund manager that can come into this.
Okay, so because we're at, what is it, the 6th of June. So you're calling 6th of June 2019. Martin said it right here.
I sure did.
Instos in cryptocurrency.
Absolutely. You will
Okay.
see listed investment companies, or LICs, on the ASX. Also, you'll see them listed in the United States. We know the Winklevoss twins, they really tried to get an exchange-traded fund, an ETF, which is a really easy way. You can just go and buy, like buying and selling a share. You could just go buy cryptocurrency. And that was knocked back by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Well, this is going to change in the next 12 months. And all of the questions, all of the components around liquidity, underlying assets of this, the underlying participants, all those answers are going to be made because institutions need to build a whole infrastructure to get behind this space.
Okay. Let's go back to independent reserve. Now, we had a massive mooning. You got to meet my moon. Oh, man, this is a big moon. A massive moon. Oh. We had a massive moon in December, January. Absolutely. I would say November as well, right? I could imagine that independent reserve, just like the other exchanges, BTC Markets, CoinJar, Bitfinex, Binance, all these ones, right? They had like a huge customer inflow.
Yes,
right?
they did.
Through the absolute roof. Now it's May. It's now June. And things have changed. Everyone's cooled out a bit. Everyone's like had a bit of a down, those kind of things. Tell us, on the front line, what's going on with customer sign up? Like, who's coming in? What's going on?
Well, see, like I said beforehand, the retail investors that come into this space, they usually like to buy something when it's going up. So they sort of a mad rush when it doubles and doubles again. They're signing up more and more. So the kind of sign-ups we're seeing that independent reserve are more now like self-managed super funds. Now we're starting to see people looking at this as an asset class, new asset class. I like to think of a digital gold 2.0. So they're the style of investors that are coming through, and they're kind of well thought out in thinking of this. And we're going to see more and more of this as a trend. But these things are animals amongst themselves. When the crypto next goes through a moon rally, as you call it, and Lambos, then you'll see another wave of sort of retail investors that come through on that.
I absolutely love the moon. And we've got a moon coin coming up, guys. We're going to talk about a moon coin. It's my secret coin right now that I'm absolutely in love with. Martin, tell us, that's really fascinating. So we've got the retail guys coming. You're saying the self-managed super funds are starting to come in. They're kind of different investors, bud. So they're buy and hold?
Absolutely. They're kind of looking for long term. And by the way, they're not putting all of their assets into it. They would take a small portion of what they would have, and they want to get some alpha. And alpha means like return above what the normal market is. So, when someone has a fund manager, they usually add an index to, say, the Standard & Poor's top 200 stocks on the ASX. Say that performs 10% a year. If you have 5% of your assets under management and say that Bitcoin doubles or triples for that year, then you would get, say, 50, 100 basis points of alpha.
Gotcha.
So that's what the kind of investors we're seeing.
So Italy right now, it's literally having an interesting time. The Europe in its entirety is really having a great time as well, an interesting time. Are you seeing these instos take a hedge against these traditional markets and these traditional plays towards cryptocurrency as potentially, it doesn't have the same, I guess, beta, you would say?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that?
Well, look, I think the instos look at separate sort of the macro side of things, and they're sort of looking at, okay, what happens if the Reserve Bank of Australia decides they want to take advantages of this real-time transfer, little or no fees, the programmability of cryptocurrencies, and they want to do an A-coin? Then all of a sudden, instos need to get access to the A-coin because they might be using it for an underlying financial contract. So you're able to put a smart contract in place and instantly do that. What happens if a corporate wants to do this as well? I don't say like Nike wants to issue a coin.
Is that A-coin, you mean like an Australian stable coin or something like that?
Yeah, Australian dollar coin that the Reserve Bank of Australia would give their nod and blessing to. So we actually think that Japan...
The Reserve Bank of Australia giving a nod and a blessing?
We think this is a pretty good possibility, and that's what's going to cause a humongous rush within institutions there. There's also large corporates or enterprises that are taking the power of cryptocurrencies. Like we've seen a lot of ICOs in terms of startups, but we haven't seen any major large established players take advantage of this. So that would cause a huge roll of institutional money if, say, a Nike issued a coin. And you think of there's some pretty funky things that Nike could do with this. They could pre-sell it, say 80 cents in the dollar, so you could buy your Nike shoes for
I'm
it.
seeing so many people queue up outside of these stores. Is anyone seeing these people queue up outside of these stores? Has anyone done this? Queued out the front of Foot Locker or whatever it may be and buy these new shoes? I don't understand how. We queued up actually at Fondo for 4 days straight out the front of the Apple store and got the first iPhone 5. It was wild. It was the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my entire life. But let me tell you now, is Nike going to launch a coin to stop all this? Or is it going to happen?
Why not? Look, Nike makes $1 billion a year in earnings. 2/3 of shoes that are sold there are counterfeit. Right. So you can use the power of the blockchain, the programmability of this to prevent counterfeit. But the other thing as well...
2/3 of their revenue?
No, 2/3 of shoes sold are counterfeit Nikes.
Oh, really? Right.
So they could go from $1 billion earnings...
to 2.
Could, you know, they just get
1.6.
They could get 10% extra sales, for instance. That's another 200 million.
Well, I heard that Louis Vuitton... Martin's brought his Louis in, guys. Look at this little bad boy. Look at this. This is elegant. Martin, a.k.a. Louis. Brought it in on the show, but I've heard Louis Vuitton has had the same issue in terms of their bags and all those kind of things being counterfeit.
Massive.
And the way they've sort of dealt with that is by basically killing all the low value items and raising the price up to really, really high items. And basically cutting all that market out. So you know all the cheap stuff's fake, basically, because there are no items for sale, right? Maybe there's a play in that as well.
Absolutely. I could go into how Louis Vuitton works in terms of their counterfeit measures, but Louis Vuitton has a humongous issue on this. So they would constantly change their product. You'll see the displays out the front. They have an entire team that are around this. But if you come back to say, your Nike shoes, and you waiting outside the store to get one, well, what happens if you say held 50 Nike coins from say 1st of January 2018 to today? You could turn up, and because you've got 50 Nike coins, you can go into the VIP store. You can be hanging out with, say, LeBron James, and you could actually drive loyalty to this. Yeah. So we know that there's huge programmability ideas around doing smart contracts and the power of the cryptocurrency, but we haven't seen large corporates do this yet.
I heard a mate telling me the other day that he got a bottle of whiskey. And I know a lot of guys out there, we're big on our scotch and our whiskey. Hands up, who's big? Give us your top labels out there as well, guys, because we've got some quality ones coming in. But anyway, scotch and whiskey is a great little crypto. I don't know. It's on some of the industry mates. Anyway, they literally found a QR code on the back of the bottle, and when you took that, it showed on the blockchain exactly where it's come from. The mystic high mountains with angels drinking the water. What do you think about that? Like, I guess, because I know Nike has some challenges in terms of where its production is done and how it's made and what materials are used. Do you think that's another way that people are going to get involved with these bigger companies? Yeah,
look, this is a huge problem when you think of the chain of custody of goods. Anyone out there who's eats vanilla ice cream, there's a big story in the Financial Times today because Madagascar is the largest producer of vanilla, and there's going to be a huge problem in terms of poverty, and basically there's child enslavement around the production of vanilla, and the price of vanilla has gone from $20 a ton, vanilla pods, to over $500 a ton.
Jeez.
So
that's wild. That's a good trade, but all right, we've got some news on Independent Reserve. They are in the middle of launching a new coin. Can we reveal to us, Martin, reveal to our crew here, what are they launching, and tell us about the coin?
So the next coin to be listed on Independent Reserve, bit of a drum roll please if I can, is going to be...
Wait a minute. The next coin on Independent Reserve is going to moon. What is it, Martin? Tell us.
It's going to be XRP from
Ripple.
Our friends at Ripple Labs, and this is a quite popular cryptocurrency. It can be.
When are we launching, Martin? When are we thinking of launching?
It's going to happen in the next 2 to 4 weeks.
2 to 4 weeks.
There's a lot of security stuff that goes behind the scenes at Independent Reserve, so they've had to test it and all of this to make sure it can be nice and robust and liquid for customers when it comes to exchange.
Why Ripple? Why is that the choice?
It actually comes back to customers request this, and we also look at another thing called hash power. So I know you're going to be talking about the 51% later, but if you have smaller coins, they can be taken over by 51%. So we look at make sure that the coin has a very robust a user base and hash power itself. So we need to make sure that customers can trade that with a lot of confidence and know that it's going to be liquid, and there's the counterparties on the other side.
Okay. Joel, tell us, have you got any questions coming in? Our producer, aka Joel, the man, the DJ himself. Do we have any questions for Martin coming in? Guys, I just want to tell you what's coming up in the show as well. We're talking about EOS and the mainnet launch and an update on that. There are 4 parties right now all competing to launch the actual blockchain. We've got our Moon coin. We'll be revealing that. We're also going to be talking about the top 5 coins right now, just a bit of a sentiment on the market. I'm going to give you my trends as well of what I saw at Consensus. Martin, I'm sure you've got some ideas on this, and we'll cut back to that in a sec. And also, we've got an interview with the CEO of Radix. Apparently, an infinitely scalable blockchain. I met the guys in London in January. We did an interview. Very interesting to track what they're doing right now. Propoundedly supposed to be the next big protocol. But what we'll do, before we get to that, Joel, do we have any questions coming in?
I'm just checking in right now.
Just checking in with the questions,
yes.
Guys. We'll come back to you guys on that. Keep sending the questions in. Keep sending, and yesterday, I'm not sure. I think it was Cassie. It's not. You have to come tonight to David Jackson's event. It's the meetup, 6:30, Freelancer, to see what's underneath the hat. Remember that. Bring the State of Origin ball guys as well. Anyway, let's get back. Martin, tell us. You were in New York City. We're at Consensus. Tell us, what were the sort of top 3 things that you saw from that?
Well, I think firstly, it's an annual conference. It's run by a venture capital group called Digital Currency Group, and Consensus last year had 2,000 attendees, and this year had 8,500. So it was truly eye-opening. For me, maybe I've got more of an institutional bent. I saw a lot of audit firms that would tell you where to jump before if you want to do something in cryptocurrency. I'm sort of talking about PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG. They took up huge booth spaces. You had Microsoft, you had IBM, you had Accenture.
You're right. It was quite corporate, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and for them to come around the huge booth space, you had to, they had a sort of a golf driving range, so you can go and hit there. This big money was spent there. They had all the executives.
How's your golf?
My handicap's 6.
6. You're the golf links. Mine is the golf links.
I'm
going to have to write this up somewhere. We're going to have to put the top golf scores somewhere. 6.
Yes.
Martin, that's leading the charge today.
What's your handicap, Fred?
My handicap.
I'm talking golf handicap, of course. Fred.
What's Fred's handicap? My handicap would be, it's got to be a 26, 28. Like it's not exactly the most beautiful. You know what I try and do? I don't think when I play golf, I don't think I try and actually hit the ball to try and go in the hole. I just try and hit it as far as I possibly can. It's the one time where you can just soar the ball as far as you want.
So you're like more a Happy Gilmore kind of a player?
I'm more of a Happy Gilmore player.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming back from my thing, you saw the audits, the big houses, the corporates coming in. What else did you see there? What did you notice?
Well, the announcements though there were quite massive. So the HTC, the smartphone maker, they announced they're going to do a blockchain smartphone. They're going to launch that this year, and it's going to have its own cryptocurrency wallet in it. And it's also going to have basically apps that can be allowed blockchain enabled. So that's going to be really big for the sort of the ecosystem. You had a big Japanese bank called Nomura. They made an announcement they're going to be the first mainstream bank to allow custody. So that comes back to institutions. They can't self-custody. So if they want to own cryptocurrency, they can't do this right now. So Nomura made that announcement that week, and I know that was a big announcement for investors like ourselves to see that in place. You saw Goldman Sachs, they have a fintech called Circle. They announced that they're going to have a competitor to Tether, because it's going to be called the Circle Coin USD. So that's an interesting, very interesting stable coin. What else do we have?
Circle Coin.
And
Is the Circle Coin going to moon?
Well,
probably not.
The US dollar is, there's 20 trillion reasons of debt.
Tether right now, we're at 0.999
92. I never understand that. How can it be under $1 if it's tethered to the US dollar? Is it just me? Can someone explain that to me? Someone tonight at David Jackson's event needs to explain to me, how is Tether under $1 when it's tethered to the dollar? I don't get it. I'm obviously missing something. I'm missing something.
It's an arbitrage there if you want to play that.
That's true. That's true. Okay, that's really interesting. Now, anything else? So, Martin, do we have any questions coming in, Joel? Tell us, what do we...
We haven't got any questions in yet.
No questions in yet. No one's asking any questions. Martin, maybe you've got a question, Martin. Let's ask Martin the question.
Well,
do you have a question for me, Martin?
Well, I'd like to ask the audience, do they think, if they will receive $10,000 as an inheritance today, 10,000 Australian fiat dollars, what coin would they like to hold and own for the next 10 years?
I like it. That's a great question. What coin would you put your $10,000 inheritance into for the next 10 years? 10 years. Martin, do you have a top coin?
Bitcoin.
You're a Bitcoin. Are you a Bitcoin maximalist? Do you want to just...
You can't be like that. I actually think that, there's almost elements of religion around cryptocurrency, and I'm sort of a little bit neutral.
I'm not bringing religion into this show, Martin. It's just not. It's not part of it.
Cryptocurrency is a religion.
No, I was told yesterday that I'm an equalitist, an equal opportunity person. There was something, I can't remember what Trader Cobb said. Anyway, and I believe in that, so I believe in all those kind of things. But that's really strong. So you're really into Bitcoin right now. Why are you into Bitcoin right now?
I actually think that if you think of the qualities of Bitcoin in terms of limited supply, 21 million of them maximum in supply there as well. Like people often complain, they say, "Oh, I missed out. Bitcoin's run up so much." I actually think we're just starting here, and when you start to see mainstream things, the fact that Bitcoin didn't blow up, and it survived 8-9 years, I think it's a good one. It's
absolutely amazing, isn't it? It really is. Like, what piece of software, which is exactly targeted for hackers to potentially go and hack it. It's representative of money, and yet it still keeps going. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, well, Satoshi Nakamoto's can take a lot of credit there, of course, for this, but you think of it, it didn't ICO, right? It didn't raise money at the start. It doesn't have like a central organization or a foundation you can call up. And it's still alive today. And I actually think of it, it's the biggest computer in the world, and it's never been hacked. So that's pretty amazing.
Let's talk about ICOs. I know, Martin, that there's a bit of news in today. If we can cut to the news here, that apparently, as reported by Hacked.com, I've got it up on the screen here, Joel, if you want to share it with everyone. ICO investment has rebounded in May above April, which is fascinating, right? So just talking about ICOs, it seems to have been a good month. We had a bit of a rough month with ICO investment in the month before, in terms of April, where the SEC was coming out. They are smashing all sorts of laws. I remember sitting in San Fran at a meetup, and 3 of the panelists said they couldn't turn up because they were worried they were going to get essentially into legal troubles, right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Not even going to turn up. Why do you think, like, we've got ICOs coming back? What do you think's driving this? Why is ICOs coming back? You got some incredible here. You've got Orbs at 118 million, Videocoin at 50, DDC at 49, Sentinel at 27, P-Chain at 26 million. That's some big raises right there.
Yeah.
What's driving this? Why are we back, Martin? Why are we back?
I think there's a little bit more certainty around what is a security, what constitutes it for an ICO. You saw the sort of the move there. Like there was even rumors that Ripple would be deemed as security. I think.
Ethereum, I remember people were just dumping Ethereum because I thought that was a security.
Well, it's more that Ethereum's use case is the gas. So when people are buying an ICO, they need to get some Ethereum. They do these ERC20 tokens. So that's the actual largest use case apart from Bitcoin. So when there's going to be less ICOs, less people transferring, less people trading in it, they're going to use less Ethereum. So that's the sort of the follow-on effect. I actually think the SEC and Goldman Sachs are quite closely linked, if you think of this, and with Goldman Sachs entering into this space with the purchase of Circle, they went to the SEC before they purchased Circle and got clarity from the SEC to change themselves to be a broker-dealer and what's called an ATS. So they went to their friends at the SEC and they're basically trying to block out the other operators, so therefore they become the platform for ICOs. So that's the sort of machinations I believe happen behind the scenes.
Okay, really interesting. I think ICOs coming back. I think a lot of people were like really into ICOs in, that there was a real crazy time around, just January, February, March, everyone was putting them in. I think some of those ICOs coins came out. People were able to flip some of that. They got their Ethereum back, and now potentially they've gone back in for another punt in May. Maybe that's part of the driver. It could be. I'm just going to flag Joel. I think we're going to run out of power on the machine here, which I'm pretty freaking out about, but that's okay. Let's move on. I know now that Martin, you've got to go to an event. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks,
we're gonna flip to our interview with the CEO of Radix, Piers Riddard, the man himself, to tell us about that. But thanks so much for coming in, Martin. I appreciate all of your insights. 6th of June 2019. Martin's prediction for the instos coming in. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so what's your 30-second pitch to a potential funder, to a user? Why are you special? Why pick you?
Well, to a potential funder, I'd say that we're not raising yet, but stay tuned. To a potential user, a developer, I'd say, do you want the success of your platform, your service, the thing that you're building, to be potentially bottlenecked by the protocol that you are putting it out on? If CryptoKitties can come along and fill a blockchain so much that you can't get your customers able to use your decentralized application because so many other transactions are going through at the same time, then are you sacrificing your own success because you're being held back by the protocol that you've chosen? And so come use Radix, because we've already proven that we can deliver scalability in a way that means that you will never be bottlenecked from your own success.
And what's the end game here? Where do you want this to go?
So we want this to become as ubiquitous as TCP/IP. We want this to be the protocol that people build everything that they want to build for the future, the decentralized future that's coming, right? So I don't see this as being something that consumers necessarily think about. They won't go, oh, I've got some RADs in my wallet, but it's things that we would like developers to be like, I am going to build my platform, my service, my company on Radix, because it is the place to build these kind of applications.
Welcome back, guys. We lost my mate Martin. How was Martin? It's pretty cool, eh? Guys, we've got something really interesting right now. I want to give you guys an update on EOS and the mainnet launch. I think it's a bit of a confusion right now. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. Right now, let's talk about the top five coins and give you guys a bit of an update. Just going to jump to the laptop here, talk about some current coins and trends. I know we were in big yesterday with my mate Trader Cobb, the man himself. Let's talk about the coins. He does give a few predictions. What are we looking at? We're looking at Bitcoin at 7638. Interesting price, that one. Ethereum looks like it's come back a bit. Trading volume and market cap, very interesting. Relatively green. Ripple, EOS back over $14. Bitcoin Cash at 11.47. Cardano at 22 cents. I'm not understanding this Cardano situation. Is it just me? Or am I don't know what I need to do to figure that one out. Someone explain to me Tron. Someone out there. Explain to me what's going on. Because I'm confused. And if I'm confused, someone else is very confused out there. What is going on? The mainnet's supposed to have gone live. You know, I don't exactly know what's going on. But I just want to zoom in now on this coin, EOS. Guys, so let's talk about the news. Block One has launched its software. If we could just jump in, Joel, here. So what we've got is we've got 4 groups apparently launching the actual mainnet. We've got EOS BIOS Boot, Ghostbusters Secure, EOS Force, and Evolutionos. So Evolutionos apparently is anti-EOS. I wouldn't, obviously there's a lot of people who are anti-EOS, and I understand that. We've got EOS BIOS Boot from the EOS Canada, and I think the EOS Canada apparently are right out there in terms of leading this. Isn't it amazing? Canada leading the charge on a blockchain project. I love it. Well done. EOS Authority as well. If you can jump on their site now, check it out. Joel, can you pop it in the chat, the eosauthority.com, and just if you want to, you can put in your ERC20 account and apparently get some details. Just be careful, guys. I'm not saying, just be careful. You're on the right website, I just think there's so many hacks that are going to happen here. Just be really careful. But you can check out. If you jump in, I'll show you. You jump into EOS Authority. You can see in here, you can pop your wallet address in and see how much EOS you're supposed to have. They've launched up all of the EOS. So what's happening is all of the blocks, 99.6% of the blocks have been put onto the actual, I think we've lost us here. We're at three-month CoinMarketCap. Joel, bring me back. We 99.6% of the ERC20 tokens have been actually put onto, have been registered, which is great, right? 99.6%, awesome. There is, so EOS Canada and EOS Authority have confirmed that the other blocks, they've put some segments away. I think it's about 3.6 million blocks that have been put aside if you haven't registered. If you haven't registered, do go to eos.io and you can register there your blocks and get your mainnet tokens. So just so we're clear, the mainnet is not necessarily live right now. They are still working on it, they're still confirming, but here you can follow along with the main contenders who are going to launch that. Once that's all confirmed, what will then happen is the block producers will start producing blocks and the main chain will be identified. Be really careful, guys. Warning. Evolutionos is not EOS. It is not EOS. Be super careful. Evolutionos. Stay away from that. That is a new blockchain. They're trying to do something else. It's not intended to be EOS. Be really careful with your private keys, guys. Do not give your private keys to Evolutionos. Warning! I've told you here. No Evolutionos. EOS Canada doing really well. I think it's fantastic. This is a really interesting project in terms of someone else launching the main blockchain, someone else producing it with open source software. I'm really bullish on this. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for the first few ICOs to launch. I think there are... Right, I've lost my lapel. Sorry, guys. Let's bring me back.
I'm just going to turn down the audio for now.
Are we good?
There we go, you're back.
Sorry about that, guys. So sorry. Evolutionos, be really careful about that. Really careful with your EOS ERC20 tokens and see how you go. Thanks so much, Joel, for pointing out that I lost myself there. So we're good. Okay, so with EOS, the thing about it is, It's been really interesting. It's been a long journey, and I can't wait for the mainnet to come out. But there are some interesting projects, and I'm getting emailed and LinkedIn updates. Do keep on sending them through. Do keep on sending your LinkedIn updates about projects that you are launching in blockchains. I want to hear about them. I want to know what's going on out there. Really excited about that. Keep on sending those through. I've heard about a new music token that's coming out on EOS. Really interesting project. And I think because of the speed of transactions, these kind of things are going to be possible. I've seen a lot of white papers recently with 2 tokens. I think it's going to be really interesting. All right, let's go on to the next topic. It's called, unless there are some questions out there, but it's called, the new segment is called Explain That Term. I know I've heard so many terms right now, and it's absolutely wild. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is the difference between an ICO, a dApp, and a protocol. What is an ICO, what is a dApp, and what is a protocol? So let's take the first one. An ICO stands for Initial Coin Offering. It's like an IPO. It's when a coin comes into its being. A dApp, what is a dApp? It's a decentralized application. It means there is code running on the blockchain, and that's where it is. It keeps on going around, right? And a protocol is like something where a dApp sits on top of. So the dApp sits on top of the protocol. And what tends to happen with those 3 things is the ICO gets done for the dApp or the protocol to fund it. The protocol gets constructed, like we were talking about with EOS, and the dApp gets put on top, right? That's sort of how the system works. We've got one more terminology we're going to talk about today, and it's something which I've been hearing a bit about. It's called an IIO. Now, for all your gamers out there with your magical swords, we've got a great channel on Finder, actually a separate podcast that talks about gaming and cryptocurrency. You guys should, Joel, if you can put the link out there for the guys, if you want to listen into how gaming is being affected by cryptocurrency. It's hosted by Chris Stead. He does a great job, an amazing gamer, great editor. Check it out. Really interesting topics. Anyway, an IIO. IIO is an initial item offering. Right, so you imagine in the future, you had a whole stack of Star Wars cards, right? The new Star Wars Solo, by the way, I love Solo. Han Solo, Joel, he's my man.
He's the best.
He is the best. Literally gangster. Anyone who hasn't seen it, you've got to get along to see that if you're a big fan like me. I love the Millennium Falcon. Imagine you had the Star Wars come out, right? You had 100 cards and you wanted to all bid for them. There would only be one. There'd be unique tokens. ERC781, or maybe there's an EOS equivalent or a WAN chain equivalent of unique tokens coming up. And ERC781 currently is a non-fungible, in other words, you can't be replicated token. Imagine you had those for Star Wars for the latest show. I'm sure people would bid for them. I'm sure they'd love them, right? So with those tokens, when you're going to launch them, you do it just like an ICO, but it's called an IIO, an initial item offering. So just in the same way, that's exactly what I'm forecasting is going to come up. So that's our terminology for the day. Explain that term. Look out. All right, guys. I'm going to move on now to talk about, it's my moon coin of the day. Let's bring in the moon. Have we got the moon? Bring in the moon. Moon coin of the day I want to talk about.
I'll go get the moon.
The moon's coming in, I'm sure. All right, let's have a look. I think we're going to set it at the back. The coin I'm talking about, I'm just going to bring it up, guys, is a coin called, I've been called out to all sorts of things, guys, but the moon coin of the day is, I'm just trying to bring it up here. It's a coin, let's get this right on that. Okay. Moon coin of the day, baby! The moon coin of the day is a coin I've been looking at a lot, is a coin called Amovio. Amovio. Joel, if you can bring up my screen, I'll let everyone. Amovio. What is Amovio? Let me tell you the story. So, the story goes like this. Does everyone know Rep or Argor? An amazing coin, right? Amovio, really interesting coin. Rep or Argor, the #1 developer, Zach, an incredible developer, literally his hands are bleeding, has coded or has been inside and working for Argor. Now, as news goes, what happened was there was an altercation between the founders and Zach. And what happened was Zach left because he was supposed to get 8% of the tokens. Now, Zach didn't get his 8% of the tokens, so he's taken his code, he's taken his ball and his bat, and he's gone home. He's escaped Liechtenstein to somewhere, I don't know where, but Zach's gone straight to mainnet. Now, Argor and Rep aren't live. They're not live. They're not going to be live for months. They're not live. VO, that's the code, Amovio, is live. That's right. It's actually operating. People are trading this. Miners are mining it. Blocks are producing. They just survived a DDoS attack. It's an incredible coin. Now, the reason why it's an incredible coin and what it does is it is a derivatives market. A derivatives market. A derivatives market where you can build whatever you want on top of the coin. So gambling, derivatives of the weather, derivatives of all sorts of things. Companies can finally hedge all the things that they've wanted to do because there's been no trustless way to ensure that the price has been actually stated correctly. And that's what in Amovio these oracles are. Oracles tell the truth. And that's what the blockchain is being used for. This to me is going to be a moon coin over the next 3 to 6 months, 12 months, as it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and keeps getting built on it. You can read more about it on Finder. There's a great write-up here. Zach Hess, an incredible guy, part of Eternity, part of Argor. Unfortunately, if you read about also Eternity and Argor, they've got a $150 million lawsuit against them. It is all sorts of bad news. I don't know what's going on in there. This is the real deal. This guy's GitHub is literally on fire. I love those kind of developers. That's our moon coin of the day, guys. Now, have a look at Amovio. Joel, if you can post the link for everyone to have a look at. I'm going to have to wrap up soon because I'm getting called out to go to a very secret meeting, and I can't reveal exactly what's going on this one, but I will reveal in the next episode of what we're doing. We've got some really interesting things coming up. Guys, have you got any questions out there? EOS just down, just quick wrap up, down to $13.99 again. Looks like we're up overall, but overnight, looks like we were trading pretty well. Yeah, having a good time. Guys, is there any questions out there? I just want to go on to a question I had yesterday and I want to talk about is, why are we seeing more 51% attacks right now? Why is that happening? Why are these blockchains failing? Why is there these double spends? My contention with all of this is very simple. When new technologies come, lots of people see that it works and they go to copy it. That's why you've got Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin, all these things. Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin, right? All these people copy other people. Now what's happened is people have gone, oh, well, I can do that as well. And they've put up the dinky die version and forked. You know, I've seen so many forks of Ethereum right now, literally coming out as the next protocol. And literally when they launch, they don't have the miner support. They don't have the actual marketing behind the coin. They don't actually have a reason for existence, really, some of these. And what you've got is essentially all these vulnerabilities because there's not enough miners actually mining the coins. Now, what I reckon you're going to see in the future, potentially, is mining insurance. It's a new product where you can go to miners and insure your blockchain from being 51% attacked. I think it's a new service, potentially. I don't know if that's a security or whatever it may be, but it's a great offering. That's what I think is going on right now. You've got all these basic systems that have been launched. They're not tested. They're not like Bitcoin, just like Martin was saying. Guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up here. Tomorrow, we've got George Salmon coming in to have a chat with us. He's your man. See us tonight. I'm bringing the State of Origin ball in to David Jackson's event up Meetup. Come and have a chat with us. Let's talk crypto. Let's talk about the moon. And you know what, guys? Keep on trading. Keep on making money. And I'll see you again tomorrow.